Okay, Emily Mercer. Hey there, I have a bit of a pickle. I've done EC with my two kids who are 3 and almost 2. I now have a 2 month old that I've EC'd from birth. You've got about the same spacing as we have with our three youngest. Things were great for a while. We caught on quickly. She went when I made our noise, etc. However, she got sick at 6 weeks and decided that she hated going pee. I figured it was just sickness related, so I only took her when she let me. She would scream sometimes and for poops. Cool, no big deal, but it's been a few weeks and she absolutely will not let me pee her. I could stand there holding her for 10 minutes and she'll hold it until I put her down. I've tried not taking her and just cueing when she pees on her mat, but that didn't help. There's no consistency to when she pees, so timing is not really effective. She does not signal anymore, not a face, not a squirm or quiet, no noise. And if she's sleeping alone, she doesn't even squirm or open her eyes before she goes. She screams if I try to pee her at night and sometimes during the day. I've noticed as well that she pees in spurts and sometimes just one drop. Hmm. She also pees a lot, so even right now with her mainly going in her diapers, I've changed like 20 times a day. I'm thankful that she lets me take her poop still, but everything else is a no-go. Emily, is she on any medication from being sick 2 weeks ago? I think you're online, so write in the chat if you can. No, none. Okay, and then did you get her checked out for a UTI? A urinary tract infection. I have a feeling you're typing. There's always a little lag. I want to know if you've ruled out UTI because this definitely sounds interesting. Yes. Okay. You have not. It was chicken pox. Oh my God. At 6 weeks. I'm so sorry. That must have really stunk. Um, yes. Please rule out a UTI with your pediatrician. What you're describing does not sound within it could be a red flag. It doesn't have to smell to be a UTI, especially with a baby. Are you breastfeeding exclusively? It just sounds like she's got something, an issue going on. I would rule that out first. Okay. All right. So rule that out first. Anytime there's something going wrong with EC after everything's been going great, and you should know this because you've done it with your first two, um, it's always a signal that something else is going on. So EC gets interrupted, your flow is great, and then all of a sudden it falls apart. You got to zoom out and look at what else is going on. She got sick at 6 weeks, which is a really young age to be sick, period. Um, and it rocked her world. So first thing is acceptance of okay, yeah, this is a blip and it's only been 2 weeks and I know it probably feels really 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 hard because things were going so great. Um go and try to rule that out and find out what you find out about her pee period and her bladder and just say, something is just a little bit off here and see what the doc says. The other thing is, because if she's just peeing in spurts and just sometimes one drop, it might be painful. There might be something else going on there with that. What do I know about chickenpox and huh? Yeah, chickenpox can sometimes cause or be comorbid with something else, coexist with something else. I can't remember the right word, but it can come up at the same time as other things or cause them or be caused by them. So, okay, let's look at that first. The second thing on my mind is you say that you tried not taking her and just cueing when she pees on her mat, but that didn't help. So there was a time when Branson would not pee. I hold him up there for 10 minutes and he just would not go. And that's my 20-month old. But when he was a couple months old. So I would lay him on a mat and just give him his own time when I felt like he needed to go and let him pee on it. And whether I saw it or not, to cue along with it. And it just sort of got me through that. I know when I put this diaper back on him, he's just going to pee straight through it. And I don't feel good about that. So instead, I kind of let him be free and let him let out his pee on the mats, the cushies pads that we use. And it worked. It could be a temporary fix. I'm just wondering, like, what did that not help with? It didn't help you get back to where you were. So I want to drop that goal. You're not going to get back to exactly where you were because where you were was you had a 4 week old, a 5 week old, and EC was going great, but you had a 4 or 5 week old's rhythms and fourth trimester, kind of creature. You're dealing with a much younger baby. Now you're at 8 weeks old. And so you can't go back to where you were with a 4 week old. So we're going to drop that goal. It's going to look different even if she hadn't gone through illness. So set your expectations as I don't know what to expect. And then I want you to sort of ease back into it, especially after getting your doctor's advice. But if laying her on a pad and letting her go there feels better to you than going in the diaper like 20 times a day, then do some of that. You might also want to change her backup. What diaper backup are you using? I'm curious if you could write it in the chat because maybe she wants to be dressed in something else. I mean, that sounds silly, but it's a possibility. Um, when things are not going well, oftentimes a change in backup will help. So there's that too. The third thing I want to say is a position. So we have the classic cradle where you're holding them by the thighs is the classic. And the cradled is where you put their head in the crook of your elbow while still holding the thighs over. You can see if a change in position helps. You can also Green Mountain brand pre-folds sometimes a cover that's a snappy. So if you want to try a different backup, you could experiment. I know some of my babies, like my first one, did great in cloth. He didn't like to pee in anything. And he's as 8 years old now, he is very particular about being dirty or whatever. The other kids of mine have done better in a disposable, and I don't use them for very long, and I reuse them throughout the day, but they like refuse to pee in them because they don't like how it feels. And it's not just any disposable, it's a seventh generation disposable. If you're using Green Mountain pre-folds, you're probably really into cloth diapering because those are expensive. And I want you to do what you feel best at. If you want to experiment, totally optional. You could get a pack of seventh generation and just try it and see if she refuses that and if it helps. If it doesn't help, then you've just blown $10, no big deal. If it does help and she's actually dry and reusing the diaper all day long, which is a possibility, then you had more information. I don't know what you'll want to do, but it's okay. We won't judge you, just an idea. But let's start with the doctor. And then let's look at this stuff. And then not signaling anymore. Let's also look at you guys, anybody who has a 2-month old, the signaling is already going to start reducing because they're not quite so postpartum anymore. You're still dealing with a newborn, but you're also dealing with a baby who's coming into his or her own into the world. So signaling is naturally going to decline, starting to roll in a couple of months, and there's going to be other developmental stuff. So not signaling anymore. Don't worry about it. You can go off of the 4 easy catches, getting the poops, like when you're taking her when she lets you, when you're taking her then or taking her for poops, that's fine. Get the wake up pee if you can, and add a diaper change offer. So you want to just go back to the basics and just let go of the fact that you're not going to be able to go back to where you were because she's also older, but also you had this illness. So forgiveness for that. It's no big deal. Like just it's gonna be what it is. And I think that if you go off of the 4 easy catches, transition times, diaper changes, the wake up pee, and poops, you are going to be able to ease in and sort of relearn things as you find out what's going on with the pee because it doesn't sound like it's very comfortable for her. Something's going on. And yeah, Shannon says also don't listen to negativity from the pediatrician. Mine at 2.5 wellness check said I was starting too early. The 3.5 is average time to start training. At the 2.5 year check, yeah. So yeah, they might. She hasn't been to the pediatrician yet. You did free birth. Awesome, Emily. So Emily, we didn't take ours, and we took ours 4 days after, and then she knows that we do EC and all that stuff. But at first, yeah, they're like, well, maybe you're causing this by doing EC. So how to approach it and take her to the right pediatrician, and one that you trust is not going to be judgmental. Wherever you can get a UTI that's in alignment with your belief system about how much intervention postpartum you even want with your child. But I feel like it's going to be important to rule it out. And you don't even have to tell them that you do EC if you don't feel comfortable. Just say, hey, she's been soaking her diapers like 20 times a day. She seems like she's in pain and she's sort of like checking out in this department. Things have changed. And you can approach it without admitting that you do EC if you know that your pediatrician might not like that. I hope that makes sense. Okay. It definitely doesn't sound normal. And I know that's why you wrote it up here because you're not feeling like things are right. Go with that intuition. Obviously, you do free birth through intuition. And congrats on that, by the way. I also did that, and actually around the same time you did.